Good evening and welcome to Dreamy Academy. As we begin this quiet journey, I'd love to know where you're listening from tonight. Your city, your country, perhaps even what the night sky looks like outside your window, holding its own ancient stories. If you find peace and wonder in these explorations of science, please take a moment to gently tap the like button and subscribe. It truly helps this little corner of quiet curiosity grow, allowing more minds to drift into these realms of thought. To those already subscribed, thank you sincerely for being part of this slow and thoughtful adventure. Your presence here is a quiet affirmation of shared wonder. Tonight, we begin a different kind of journey, one that takes us not out into the vastness of space or back through the deep currents of geological time, but inward, far inward. We will explore the intricate, astonishing universe that resides within you, the living architecture of your own being. It is a realm of such profound beauty and complexity that it often goes unnoticed, simply because it is you. Consider for a moment the sheer breathtaking number of atoms that compose your body. It is a figure so vast, so beyond human comprehension, that it can only be whispered in a quiet room. Approximately 7 octillion atoms. That's a 7 followed by 27 zeros. Each one of these infinitesimally tiny particles is a whisper of the cosmos, forged in the hearts of long-dead stars, drifting through interstellar space for eons, before finding its place in the delicate temporary structure that is you. And each atom, though ancient, is not inert. It dances, vibrates, interacts with its neighbours, with a precision that orchestrates the symphony of life. This is the beautiful parody of anatomy and physiology. It is a story of immense scale, from the subatomic to the whole breathing organism, yet it is also the most intimate story we can tell. It is the story of how matter arranges itself against all odds to become aware of itself. Anatomy is the quiet architecture, the blueprints, the structures, the precise placement of every bone, muscle, and organ. Physiology is the living poetry, the dynamic processes, the chemical reactions, the electrical impulses, the flow of energy and information that allows that architecture to breathe, to think, to feel, to exist. It is a story so rich, so deeply intertwined with the fundamental laws of the universe, that to contemplate it is to be gently lulled into a deeper understanding of everything. It is a journey that rewards patient contemplation, revealing layers of elegance and efficiency that are nothing short of miraculous, yet entirely natural. Picture, if you will, the very air around you, invisible yet teeming with particles. Or consider the solid ground beneath your feet, which feels so unyielding. Both, in their essence, are made of the same fundamental building blocks. To understand the magnificent complexity of the human body, we must first descend to this most foundational level, to the realm of the atom. For the human body, with all its intricate systems and conscious thought, is, at its heart, an astonishing arrangement of these tiny ancient particles. Let's begin by considering the atom itself. It is the smallest unit of an element that retains that element's chemical identity. For generations we imagined them as miniature solar systems, with electrons orbiting a dense nucleus like planets around a sun. This image, while helpful for a time, doesn't quite capture the deeper truth revealed by quantum mechanics. Instead, picture the nucleus, a dense, positively charged core containing protons and neutrons, as a tiny, heavy speck at the center of a vast, mostly empty space. Around this speck, electrons don't orbit in fixed paths. Rather, they exist in a fuzzy, shimmering cloud of probability, regions where they are most likely to be found. The atom, then, is less like a miniature solar system
and more like a dense, luminous point surrounded by a diffuse energetic haze. It is almost entirely empty space, yet its emptiness holds the blueprint for all matter. The identity of an atom, its very essence as an element, is determined by the number of protons in its nucleus. Carbon, for instance, always has 6 protons. Oxygen always has 8. These elements are not just abstract concepts, they are the fundamental alphabet of the universe. And for life, a particular quartet of these letters, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen or xon, form the vast majority of our physical being. The hydrogen in your body was formed in the first few minutes after the Big Bang nearly 14 billion years ago. The carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen were forged later in the superheated dying cores of massive stars, scattered across the cosmos in violent supernova explosions, before coalescing into our solar system and eventually into you. You are, quite literally, stardust, not as a metaphor, but as a scientific truth woven into the very fabric of your being. The beauty of these elements lies in their specific properties, dictated by the arrangement of their electrons. Atoms are not solitary beings, they long to interact, to achieve a state of stability by sharing or exchanging electrons. This yearning drives the formation of chemical bonds, the invisible glue that holds the universe together at a molecular level. Consider for a moment the covalent bond, a masterpiece of molecular cooperation. Here, atoms share electrons, intertwining their probability clouds to form a more stable lower energy state. Imagine 2 hands gently clasping, not holding on tightly, but sharing a common purpose. This sharing gives rise to molecules, discrete units made of 2 or more atoms bound together. Water, for instance, a molecule of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, H2O, forms through covalent bonds. The oxygen atom, with its strong pull on electrons, draws them slightly closer to itself, giving water a subtle polarity, a slightly negative side and a slightly positive side. This seemingly small detail is profoundly important. It allows water molecules to gently attract one another, like tiny soft magnets, forming weak hydrogen bonds that constantly break and reform. This ceaseless, gentle dance of attraction is why water is liquid at room temperature, why it can dissolve so many substances, and why it is the very solvent of life itself. Without this elegant molecular ballet, the complex chemistry necessary for living systems simply wouldn't be possible. Then there are other types of bonds, like ionic bonds, where electrons are not shared but completely transferred, creating oppositely charged ions that strongly attract each other, like the silent, steadfast pull between distant celestial bodies. And there are the myriad other, weaker interactions, like van der Waals forces, subtle whispers of attraction that become profoundly important when many molecules are packed closely together. Each type of bond, with its specific strength and geometry, contributes to the intricate architecture of molecules. This architecture is not random, it is precise. The shape of a molecule dictates its function, like a key fitting into a lock. A molecule designed to carry oxygen, for instance, must have a particular shape to cradle that oxygen atom safely. A molecule designed to transmit a signal must have a shape that can bind to a receptor on a cell, triggering a cascade of events. What we are beginning to see, even at this microscopic scale, is that life is not some mysterious separate force, but rather an astonishingly organized expression of chemistry and physics. It is the universe's most elaborate and patient experiment in self-assembly. From the seemingly simple rules governing the dance of electrons, an unimaginable complexity begins to emerge. Every atom is a silent participant, every bond a quiet agreement, every molecule a tiny, perfectly sculpted machine. And it is this silent, precise dance of atoms and molecules that lays the groundwork for everything that follows. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon scaffolding of every cell, all began as these fundamental particles interacting in specific, predictable ways. The rules are unchanging, universal, yet they give rise to an infinite variety of forms. There is a deep comfort in understanding that the same principles that govern the distant stars also govern the beating of your heart, the thoughts in your mind, the very structure of your being. So we have seen how the universe provides us with an exquisite alphabet of elements, and how these letters, through the elegant rules of chemical bonding, form the first words, the molecules. But how do these words begin to form sentences, paragraphs, and eventually the grand narrative of a living organism? How do these tiny individual dancers come together to perform a coordinated ballet? That question leads us to the next level of organization, where these small molecules assemble into the much larger, more complex structures that truly begin to whisper of life itself. We will begin to explore the macromolecules, the giant molecules that are the true workhorses and architects of the cellular world. And so we arrive at the threshold of a profound question, one that beckons us forward on this quiet journey into the universe within you. How do these foundational atoms and the small elegant molecules they form, the water, the carbon dioxide, the simple sugars, begin to assemble into the larger, more intricate structures that are the very architects and workhorses of the cellular world? This is where the story of life truly begins to unfold in its grand complexity, where the whisper of the cosmos finds its voice in the living architecture of your being. We speak now of macromolecules, the colossal molecules built from smaller repeating units, much like a magnificent cathedral is constructed from countless individual stones. They are the intricate gears, the sturdy walls, the delicate sensors, and the ancient libraries of every living cell. There are 4 primary families of these titans of biochemistry, each with its unique role, each a testament to the miraculous precision of universal laws: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Let us gently tap into the first of these, the carbohydrates, the sweet energy of being. Picture, if you will, a delicate chain of carbon atoms adorned with hydrogen and oxygen, often in a ratio that mimics water. These are the sugars, the simple monosaccharides like glucose, that immediate vital spark that fuels your cells, a quick, accessible energy currency. It is the very essence of immediate vitality, the energy that allows a thought to form, a muscle to contract, a heartbeat to whisper its rhythm. From these simple units, longer chains are forged. Disaccharides like the lactose in milk, or the sucrose we know as table sugar, and then the magnificent polysaccharides. In the human body, the most significant of these is glycogen, a branched, intricate storehouse of glucose molecules tucked away in your liver and muscles, ready to be called upon when energy demands rise. It is your body's short-term energy savings account, a complex carbohydrate woven with the precision of a master weaver, ensuring a steady supply of fuel. Carbohydrates are not merely fuel, they are also recognition markers on cell surfaces, acting as delicate antennae, allowing cells to identify and communicate with one another, a silent molecular handshake. They are the sweet symphony of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, arranged to provide both the quick spark of life and the gentle recognition of self. Next, we turn our gaze to the lipids, the whispering boundaries and hidden reserves of your body. Unlike the water-loving carbohydrates, lipids are characterized by their profound aversion to water. They are hydrophobic, a quality that defines their very existence and purpose. Imagine tiny, shy molecules preferring to cluster away from the aqueous environment that dominates life. This characteristic is not a flaw, but a fundamental design principle. Consider the triglycerides, for instance. These are the fats and oils you consume, and the primary way your body stores energy for the long term. Each triglyceride is a glycerol backbone embracing 3 long fatty acid tails. These tails are dense packets of whispered energy, holding more than twice the energy per gram compared to carbohydrates. They are the body's deep reserves, patiently waiting, insulating your organs, cushioning your body, and keeping you warm. They are the quiet, often overlooked guardians of your endurance. But perhaps the most profound role of lipids is played by the phospholipids. Here, the molecule takes on a duality, a beautiful paradox. A phospholipid possesses a hydrophilic, water-loving head, typically containing a phosphate group, and 2 hydrophobic, water-fearing fatty acid tails. This amphipathic nature is not merely a chemical curiosity, it is the very foundation of cellular life. When placed in water, these molecules spontaneously arrange themselves into a phospholipid bilayer. 2 layers with their hydrophobic tails facing inward, shielded from the water, and their hydrophilic heads facing outward, embracing the water. This elegant, self-assembling structure forms the cell membrane, the delicate, dancing wall that encloses every single cell in your body. It is the boundary between the inner world of the cell and the outer environment, a selective gatekeeper, a fluid mosaic that allows communication, transport, and the very definition of self. Without this whispering boundary, life as we know it could not exist, for it is this membrane that maintains the precious internal constancy, the exquisite balance necessary for cellular function. Then there are the steroids, a family of lipids characterized by a distinct 4-ring carbon structure. The most famous among them is cholesterol, often misunderstood yet utterly vital. Cholesterol is a precursor to many of your body's hormones, the subtle messengers that regulate everything from metabolism to reproduction. It also plays a crucial role in maintaining the fluidity and integrity of your cell membranes, ensuring they remain pliable and strong. Steroids are the silent architects of communication, the intricate signaling molecules that choreograph the vast orchestra of your physiological process. Lipids, then, are the shy, elusive, yet indispensable components of your living architecture, providing energy, structure, and communication. Now we approach the proteins, the true workhorses and the unfolding tapestry of action within your cells. If life is a symphony, proteins are the musicians, the instruments, and the conductor all at once. They are astonishingly diverse, performing an almost unimaginable array of functions. They build structures, transport substances, catalyze reactions, defend against invaders, send signals, and even enable movement. What gives proteins such versatility? It begins with their building blocks, amino acids. There are 20 common types of amino acids, each a small molecule with the central carbon atom bonded to an amino group, a carboxyl group, a hydrogen atom, and a unique R group or side chain. It is this R group that gives each amino acid its distinct chemical properties. Some are acidic, some basic, some polar, some non-polar. Imagine these amino acids as letters in a cosmic alphabet. When they link together end-to-end through peptide bonds, they form a long, unbranched chain called a polypeptide. This linear sequence of amino acids is the primary structure of a protein, a specific genetic code that determines everything that follows. It is like a linear poem, each word carefully chosen. But a protein is not merely a string of amino acids, it is a three-dimensional sculpture meticulously folded into a precise shape. This folding process is where the magic truly unfolds, guided by the interactions between the R groups of the amino acids. The first level of folding is the secondary structure, where localized regions of the polypeptide chain begin to twist into elegant spirals called alpha helices, or fold into flat pleated structures known as beta pleated sheets. These formations are stabilized by the gentle, repetitive embrace of hydrogen bonds between the backbone atoms of the amino acids. They are the elegant flourishes, the initial architectural motifs. Beyond these local patterns lies the tertiary structure, the overall intricate three-dimensional shape of a single polypeptide chain. This is the crucial level where a protein achieves its unique functional form. Imagine the polypeptide coiling, looping and folding back upon itself, driven by a complex interplay of forces, hydrophobic interactions burying non-polar R groups away from water, ionic bonds forming between charged R groups, hydrogen bonds between polar R groups, and strong disulfide bridges, covalent bonds between sulfur atoms in certain amino acids, acting like molecular staples. This precise, unique sculpture is absolutely critical, for a protein's function is inextricably linked to its shape. If this shape is disturbed, if the protein denatures, it loses its ability to perform its task, much like a key that has been bent cannot open its lock. Finally, some proteins are even more complex, exhibiting a quaternary structure. This occurs when two or more separate polypeptide chains, subunits, each with its own tertiary structure, come together to form a larger functional protein complex. Hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen in your blood, is a beautiful example, composed of 4 polypeptide subunits working in concert. It is a symphony orchestra, where each section plays its part to create a harmonious whole. Proteins are the molecular dancers, the precision tools, the essence of dynamic life. From the collagen that gives your skin its strength, to the enzymes that accelerate countless biochemical reactions, to the antibodies that defend you from disease, to the actin and myosin that power your every movement, proteins are everywhere, doing everything. They are the unfurling tapestry of action, where a specific sequence of amino acids folds into a unique shape destined for a unique purpose. And so we arrive at the nucleic acids, the ancient scrolls of inheritance, the very blueprint of life itself. These are the molecules that store, transmit, and express genetic information, the whispers of generations past, present, and future. The fundamental building blocks of nucleic acids are nucleotides. Each nucleotide is composed of 3 parts: a 5-carbon sugar, either deoxyribose in DNA or ribose in RNA, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. There are 5 main nitrogenous bases: adenine, A, guanine, keys G, cytosine, thymine T, and uracil U. The most celebrated nucleic acid is DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, the master blueprint. Imagine a magnificent twisting ladder, the famous double helix. The 2 long strands of this ladder are formed by alternating sugar and phosphate groups, creating the backbone. The rungs of the ladder are formed by pairs of nitrogenous bases, held together by the delicate embrace of hydrogen bonds. Adenine, A, always pairs with thymine, T, and guanine, G, always pairs with cytosine, C. This is the principle of complementary base pairing, the elegant rule that ensures the faithful replication of genetic information. DNA is the library of existence, housing the complete instruction set for building and maintaining an organism, a testament to the enduring power of molecular information. Then there is rRNA ribonucleic acid, the versatile messenger and translator. Unlike DNA, RNA is typically a single-stranded molecule, and its sugar is ribose. Crucially, in RNA, the base thymine, T, is replaced by uracil, U. So adenine, A, pairs with uracil, U. RNA comes in various forms, each with a specialized role. Messenger RNA, mRNA, carries the genetic instructions from DNA in the nucleus to the protein-making machinery in the cytoplasm. Transfer RNA, tRNA, ferries specific amino acids to the ribosome, and ribosomal RNA, RNA, is a key structural component of ribosomes, the very factories where proteins are synthesized. Together, DNA and RNA orchestrate the central dogma of molecular biology, the flow of vital information from DNA to RNA to protein. It is the cosmic script being read, interpreted, and brought to life. Nucleic acids are not merely molecules, they are the memory of life, the sacred code that allows a single cell to become an intricate organism, capable of thought, feeling, and wonder. They are the ancient wisdom passed down through countless generations, ensuring continuity and evolution. Do you sense now the profound elegance of this molecular progression? From the humble whisper of a single atom to the gentle clasp of a covalent bond, to the precise architecture of a macromolecule, carbohydrate, lipid, protein, nucleic acid, each level builds upon the last, adding layers of complexity and function. These macromolecules are not isolated entities. They interact with breathtaking precision, forming dynamic networks, working in exquisite harmony. They are the very fabric of your being, the tangible manifestation of chemistry unfolding into biology. This complex ordered assembly, this molecular dance against all odds, begins to form something greater than the sum of its parts. It is a foundational step towards the ultimate miracle, the cell, the fundamental unit of life where these titans of biochemistry come together to create the smallest self-sustaining universe. It is to this cellular marvel, this vibrant, pulsating microcosm, that our quiet journey will next lead us. We have journeyed through the atomic whisper and the molecular dance, witnessing how the universe's most fundamental building blocks, the atoms, conspire to form intricate macromolecules, the carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. We observe their precise architectures, their inherent tendencies, and their profound roles as the very architects and workhorses of life. Now, with a deeper understanding of these molecular players, we arrive at their grand assembly, their collaborative masterpiece, the smallest unit capable of independent life, the cell. Picture, if you will, a tiny self-contained universe. A universe not of stars and galaxies, but of membranes and organelles, of ceaseless activity and quiet purpose. This is the cell, the fundamental unit of all living things, a testament to the elegant self-organization of matter. It is here, within these minuscule boundaries, that the molecular symphony we've been listening to truly begins to play its most complex and beautiful melodies. From a single fertilized egg to the billions of specialized cells that compose your intricate form, Each cell holds the entire blueprint and the dynamic machinery of life. When we speak of cells, especially in the context of the human body, we are primarily referring to eukaryotic cells. You may have heard of their simpler cousins, the prokaryotic cells, which lack a true nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. But for us, for the story of human anatomy and physiology, the eukaryotic cell is our focus. A marvel of internal compartmentalization, a sophisticated city humming with activity. Each eukaryotic cell is defined by its membrane, its cytoplasm, and its nucleus. Let us begin our gentle exploration with the intelligent boundary that first defines it. Recall the phospholipid bilayer, that shimmering fluid mosaic we discussed as a key component of lipids. It is this delicate yet formidable structure that forms the cell membrane, the outer skin of every cell. Imagine it as a silent, ever-vigilant gatekeeper, not a rigid wall, but a dynamic, intelligent barrier. It is composed of those phospholipids, with their hydrophilic heads facing the watery environments inside and outside the cell, and their hydrophobic tails tucked safely within, creating a sanctuary from water. But the membrane is far more than just a lipid barrier. Embedded within this bilayer, or attached to its surfaces, are a multitude of proteins. These proteins are the true sentinels and facilitators of the cell, acting as channels allowing specific substances to pass, as receptors receiving molecular signals from the outside world, as enzymes catalyzing reactions, and as anchors providing structural support. Together, the lipids and proteins confer selective permeability upon the membrane, meaning it precisely controls what enters and exits the cell. It decides with exquisite precision which nutrients are welcomed in and which waste products are politely ushered out. It is a constant, subtle conversation between the cell's interior and its external environment, a dialogue essential for maintaining the delicate balance we call homeostasis. Stepping past this discerning membrane, we enter the cytoplasm, the bustling inner world of the cell. The cytoplasm itself has two main components, the cytosol and the organelles. The cytosol is the viscous jelly-like fluid that fills the cell, primarily water, but rich with dissolved ions, nutrients, proteins, and waste products. It is the aqueous stir upon which many of the cell's metabolic reactions unfold. Suspended within this cytosol, like tiny specialized organs within a body, are the organelles, each with its own distinct structure and vital function, each contributing to the collective life of the cell. Our first stop, and perhaps the most commanding presence in the eukaryotic cell, is the nucleus. Picture it as the cell's grand library, its control center, an almost spherical structure, usually prominent near the cell's heart. It is enveloped by a double membrane called the nuclear envelope, which is punctuated by nuclear pores, tiny gateways that regulate the passage of molecules like RNA and proteins between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Within the nucleus resides the cell's most precious treasure, its genetic material, meticulously organized into chromatin, which, during cell division, condenses into visible chromosomes. This DNA, our double helix from Chapter 2, contains the complete blueprint for every protein the cell will ever need to make, every function it will ever perform. Here, the processes of DNA replication, making copies of the blueprint, and to transcription, copying specific sections of the blueprint into RNA messages, occur. Also nestled within the nucleus is the nucleolus, a dense region responsible for synthesizing a ribosomal RNA and assembling ribosomes, the cell's protein factories. The nucleus, then, is the ultimate orchestrator, directing the cell's activities with the wisdom encoded in its genes. Moving outward from the nucleus, we encounter a vast interconnected network of membranes that winds throughout the cytoplasm, the endoplasmic reticulum, ER. Imagine it as a complex system of cellular highways and factories. It comes in two distinct forms, though they are continuous with each other. The rough endoplasmic reticulum, RER, is so named because its outer surface is studded with ribosomes, those tiny protein-building machines. It is here, on the RER, that proteins destined for secretion outside the cell, or for insertion into cellular membranes, or for delivery to other organelles, are synthesized and then folded into their correct three-dimensional shapes. The RER acts as a quality control center, ensuring proteins are correctly assembled before they move on. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum, SER, by contrast, lacks ribosomes and appears smooth. Its functions are diverse and crucial. It is the primary site for the synthesis of lipids, including phospholipids for new membranes and various steroids like cholesterol and steroid hormones. It also plays a vital role in detoxification, breaking down harmful drugs and toxins, particularly abundant in liver cells. Furthermore, the SER serves as a storage site for calcium ions, which are essential for muscle contraction and many other cellular signaling pathways. And what of those ribosomes themselves? These are the workhorses of protein synthesis, the molecular machines that read the RNA messages dispatched from the nucleus and translate them into the precise sequence of amino acids that form a protein. They are found either free-floating in the cytosol, where they typically synthesize proteins that will remain within the cell, or attached to the RER as we've seen. They are the universal translators, converting the language of nucleic acids into the language of proteins, a fundamental process known as translation. Once proteins and lipids are synthesized in the ER, they often make their way to the Golgi apparatus, also known as the Golgi complex or Golgi body. Picture the Golgi as the cell's sophisticated post office or packaging and shipping center. It consists of a stack of flattened, membrane-bound sacs called gasternae. As molecules travel from the ER to the Golgi, they are further modified, sorted, and packaged into small membrane-bound sacs called vesicles. These vesicles then bud off from the Golgi, acting as tiny delivery trucks, transporting their cargo to various destinations, perhaps to the cell membrane for secretion or to other organelles, each package meticulously addressed and ready for dispatch. As the cell goes about its ceaseless work, it inevitably generates waste and encounters cellular debris. This is where the lysosomes come into play. These are small spherical organelles, often described as the cell's recycling centers or digestive organs. They contain a potent cocktail of hydrolytic enzymes, capable of breaking down worn-out organelles, cellular waste products, and even invading bacteria or viruses. Lysosomes ensure the cell remains clean and efficient, recycling molecular components for reuse and eliminating harmful substances. Without them, cells would quickly become choked with debris, finally giving the cell its shape. Its ability to move and providing tracks for the movement of organelles is the skeleton. Imagine it as the cell's internal scaffolding, a dynamic, intricate network of protein filaments that extends throughout the cytoplasm. It is composed of three main types of protein fibers: microtubules, microfilaments, actin filaments, and intermediate filaments. Microtubules are the largest, acting as railroad tracks for vesicle and organelle transport, and forming the core of cilia and flagella, structures involved in cell movement. Microfilaments are thinner, involved in muscle contraction, cell division, and maintaining cell shape. Intermediate filaments provide tensile strength, anchoring organelles and resisting mechanical stress. The cytoskeleton is not static, it is constantly being assembled and disassembled, allowing the cell to change shape, move, and respond to its environment with remarkable fluidity. As we gently survey this bustling cellular landscape, we must remember that none of these organelles work in isolation. They are profoundly interdependent, forming a collaborative network. The nucleus dictates, the ribosomes translate, the ER synthesizes and folds, the Golgi packages and ships, the mitochondria power, and the lysosomes cleanse. This exquisite orchestration, this precise dance of molecular machines and membrane-bound compartments, allows the cell to carry out its myriad functions, from growing and reproducing to responding to stimuli and generating energy. It is a living, breathing city, a microcosm of the very life that makes you you. The cell, then, is not merely a collection of parts. It is a system, an integrated whole where structure perfectly enables function. It is the fundamental unit of life, the point at which the inanimate molecules we studied begin to manifest the properties we define as living. And with this understanding, we now possess the basic building block, the individual brick from which all greater biological structures are built. Our next contemplation will take us beyond the single cell, as we explore how these individual units, in their astonishing diversity and specialization, come together to form larger, more complex entities, the tissues. But for now, let us simply marvel at the quiet wonder of the cell, the most fundamental expression of life's miraculous architecture. As we gently concluded our last quiet journey, we marveled at the eukaryotic cell, that self-contained universe, bustling with its specialized organelles, each playing a vital role in the grand symphony of life. We observed its delicate membrane, its energetic mitochondria, its wise nucleus, and its industrious endoplasmic reticulum, all working in concert, a testament to the power of molecular orchestration. But life, dear contemplative student, rarely manifests as a solitary cell. Even the most complex single-celled organisms are but a prelude to the intricate marvels that unfold when these fundamental units begin to collaborate, to specialize and to weave themselves into larger, more complex tapestries. Imagine a bustling city full of individual citizens, each with their own home and daily tasks. Now picture these citizens coming together, forming guilds, establishing districts and dedicating their collective efforts to a shared purpose, some building, some governing, some protecting, some tending to the city's inner workings. This, in essence, is the story of tissues. We move now from the individual cell, a singular note in the cosmic melody, to the harmonious chords formed when similar cells gather, bound by common purpose and shared destiny. A tissue, in its most elegant definition, is a group of similar cells, often with a similar embryonic origin, that work together to perform a specific function. It is the next breathtaking level of organization in our living architecture, a testament to the profound beauty of cooperation. Think of it, billions upon billions of cells within you, each an independent entity, yet each surrendering a degree of its autonomy to become part of a greater whole. This is not a loss, but a blossoming, a specialization that allows for capabilities far beyond what any single cell could achieve. They become the fabric, the very threads of our existence, each type precisely engineered for its unique role. We categorize these cellular communities into 4 primary types, the foundational pillars upon which your entire body is built. They are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. Each possesses its own distinctive characteristics, its own particular way of arranging its cellular inhabitants, and its own indispensable contribution to the living entity that is you. Let us, with quiet reverence, explore each one. First we encounter epithelial tissue. Picture, if you will, the delicate and robust membranes that form the boundaries of your world, both external and internal. Epithelial tissue is the protective guardian, the vigilant sentinel that covers body surfaces, lines, body cavities, and forms glands. It is the skin that shields you from the outer world, the lining of your digestive tract that selectively absorbs nutrients, the inner surface of your lungs that facilitates the whisper of gas exchange, and the intricate ducts that channel the body's secretions. What defines these remarkable cells? They are first and foremost incredibly close-knit. Imagine a tightly woven blanket, its threads so intertwined that there is very little space between them. Epithelial cells are packed together, often forming continuous sheets with very little extracellular material separating them. This close arrangement allows them to form effective barriers. They also exhibit polarity, meaning they have a distinct top and apical surface that faces the exterior or a lumen, an open space, and a distinct bottom, basal surface that is attached to underlying connective tissue by a specialized basement membrane. This directional orientation is crucial for their function, allowing for specific transport and protective roles. A fascinating characteristic of epithelial tissue is its avascularity. It contains no blood vessels of its own. Instead, its cells receive nutrients by diffusion from the underlying connective tissue, a silent testament to the interconnectedness of our tissues, and perhaps most miraculously, epithelial tissue possesses a high capacity for regeneration. Think of a cut on your skin. These cells rapidly divide and replace themselves, repairing the breach, a constant renewal that speaks to life's persistent drive. We classify epithelial tissues by two primary features: the number of cell layers and the shape of the cells. By layers. Epithelium has a single layer of cells, ideal for absorption, secretion, and filtration, where a thin barrier is advantageous. Stratified. Epithelium, conversely, has two or more layers, providing robust protection in areas subject to abrasion like your skin. By shape. Squamous. Cells are flat and scale-like, resembling thin tiles, perfect for rapid diffusion. Cuboidal cells are box-like, as tall as they are wide, often involved in secretion and absorption. Columnar cells are tall and column-shaped, specialized for absorption and secretion, often featuring cilia or microvilli on their apical surfaces to increase surface area or move substances. So whether it's the simple squamous lining of your lung alveoli, allowing oxygen to delicately pass into your blood, or the stratified squamous epithelium of your outer skin, bravely facing the world, epithelial tissues are the versatile architects of your body's surfaces and secretions. Next, we turn our attention to connective tissue, the most abundant and widely distributed of the primary tissues, the unseen scaffolding and silent architects that hold everything together. If epithelial tissue is the outer garment, connective tissue is the intricate framework, the invisible glue, the supportive matrix beneath. It binds, supports, protects, insulates, stores reserve fuel, and transports substances within the body. What sets connective tissue apart? Unlike the tightly packed cells of epithelia, connective tissue cells are often widely scattered, residing within a substantial amount of extracellular matrix. This matrix is the defining characteristic, the stuff between the cells, and it is composed of two main elements, the ground substance and the cell fibers. Ground substance is an unstructured material that fills the space between the cells and contains the fibers. It can range from fluid to semi-fluid to gel-like, even calcified, providing a medium through which nutrients and waste can diffuse. Fibers provide support. There are three main types. Collagen fibers are incredibly strong and resist pulling forces, like microscopic ropes providing tensile strength. They are the most abundant protein in your body. Elastic fibers are long, thin, and allow for stretch and recoil, like tiny rubber bands, giving tissues flexibility. Reticular fibers are fine, branching collagenous fibers that form delicate networks, providing a supportive mesh in soft organs. The cells within connective tissue are diverse, reflecting its myriad functions. Fibroblasts are the primary cell type in loose and dense connective tissues, producing the fibers and ground substance. Chondrocytes reside in cartilage, osteocytes in bone, and adipocytes. Fat cells store energy. Even blood with its fluid matrix is considered a type of connective tissue, its cells suspended in plasma. Connective tissues vary greatly in their vascularity, from the rich blood supply of loose connective tissue to the avascularity of cartilage, another example of the body's elegant adaptation to specific needs. Think of the delicate areolar connective tissue that underlies epithelia, offering support and holding fluids, or the insulating and energy-storing adipose tissue beneath your skin. Consider the strong rope-like and dense regular connective tissue that forms tendons and ligaments, anchoring muscles to bones and bones to bones, or the robust bone tissue itself, providing structural support and protection, a living, dynamic mineral storehouse. Connective tissue is the unsung hero, the quiet workhorse, ensuring integrity and connection throughout your living form. Our journey now leads us to muscle tissue, the engines of motion, the movers and shakers of your biological world. This tissue is specialized for contractility, the remarkable ability to shorten and generate force, transforming chemical energy into mechanical work. It is muscle tissue that allows you to walk, to speak, to smile, to breathe, and for your heart to beat ceaselessly. There are three distinct types of muscle tissue, each with its unique structure and the control. Skeletal muscle tissue. This is the muscle you consciously control. Its cells are long, cylindrical, and multinucleated, often referred to as muscle fibers. They display prominent striations, a striped appearance, due to the organized arrangement of contractile proteins. Attached to bones, skeletal muscles are responsible for voluntary body movements, posture, and generating heat. They are the visible power behind your every deliberate action. Cardiac muscle tissue. Found only in the wall of the heart, this muscle tissue is the tireless pump of your circulatory system. Like skeletal muscle, it is striated, but its cells are shorter, branched, and typically contain only one or two nuclei. A unique feature of cardiac muscle cells are intercalated discs, specialized junctions that allow for rapid communication and coordinated contraction, ensuring the heart beats as a single powerful unit. Cardiac muscle is involuntary, meaning its rhythmic contractions occur without conscious thought, a magnificent display of autonomous function. Smooth muscle tissue. This tissue is found in the walls of hollow internal organs such as the stomach, intestines, bladder, and blood vessels. Its cells are spindle-shaped, tapered at both ends, unenucleated, and lack striations, hence the name smooth. Smooth muscle contractions are involuntary and often slow and sustained, responsible for processes like propelling food through the digestive tract, peristalsis, regulating blood pressure, and emptying the bladder. It is the unseen force behind many of your body's essential unconscious functions. Together, these muscle tissues orchestrate a breathtaking ballet of movement, from the grand gestures of your limbs to the subtle internal shifts that maintain your life. Finally, we arrive at nervous tissue. The most complex and perhaps the most mysterious of the four types. The very fabric of your thoughts, sensations, and responses. This tissue is the body's control system, responsible for regulating and integrating all body functions. Its primary role is communication, allowing for the rapid transmission of electrical signals from one part of the body to another. Nervous tissue is composed of two main cell types. Neurons. These are the accountable cells, the true communicators. Each neuron possesses a cell body, or zoema, which contains the nucleus and specialized processes. Dendrites, which receive incoming signals, and a single hollow axon, which transmits signals away from the cell body to other neurons, muscles, or glands. Neurons are highly specialized for generating and conducting electrical impulses, often referred to as nerve impulses or action potentials. They are the lightning-fast messengers, forming intricate networks that allow you to perceive, think, and react. Neuroglia, glial cells. Far more numerous than neurons, these cells are the unsung heroes of the nervous system. While they do not transmit electrical impulses themselves, they play crucial supporting roles. They nourish, protect, insulate, and maintain the delicate environment essential for neuron function. Think of them as the support staff, the caretakers, the vital infrastructure that allows the neurons to perform their complex work. Nervous tissue, therefore, is the very essence of your awareness, your ability to interact with the world and to maintain the delicate internal balance that defines life. It is the whispering network that connects every part of your being, from the subtlest sensation to the most profound thought. As we gently step back, taking in the panorama of these four fundamental tissue types, epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous, we begin to see a grander design emerging. They do not exist in isolation, these specialized communities of cells. No, they are intimately interwoven, forming composite structures, each lending its unique strengths to the others. Epithelial tissue is always supported by connective tissue. Muscle tissue is innervated by nervous tissue and bound by connective tissue. Nervous tissue itself relies on its glial support. This intricate dance of cooperation is not merely a collection of parts, but a symphony of emergent properties. When different tissues come together, working in concert, they form the next magnificent level of organization, the organ. An organ, such as your heart, your brain, your stomach, or your skin, is a discrete structure composed of at least two, but usually all four, primary tissue types, working together to perform a specific complex function. And so our quiet journey continues, ever deeper into the miraculous complexity of the human form. From the atomic whisper to the molecular dance, from the bustling cell to the harmonious tissue, we are building layer by layer an understanding of the living architecture within you. We have laid the foundation, woven the fabrics. Next, we shall see how these fabrics are tailored and assembled into the purposeful wonders we call organs, each a masterpiece of biological engineering. Let us carry this sense of wonder forward as we prepare to explore the elegant design of your inner world. And so our quiet journey continues, moving ever inward, ever deeper into the living architecture within you. In our last thoughtful pause, we witnessed the intricate dance of cells as they gathered into specialized communities, forming the 4 primary tissues: the protective epithelia, the supportive connective, the contractile muscle, and the communicative nervous tissue. We observed their unique forms and functions, understanding that each performs a vital, distinct role. Now, we approach a new, magnificent level of organization, a breathtaking crescendo in the symphony of life. We are ready to explore the soul organ. Picture, if you will, not merely a collection of skilled musicians, but an entire orchestra, each section, strings, brass, woodwinds, percussion, representing a different tissue type. When these sections, with their distinct voices and capabilities, come together under the guidance of a masterful score, they do not simply play their individual notes. No, they weave them into a complex, harmonious melody, creating something far grander and more profound than any single instrument could achieve alone. This, dear listener, is the essence of an organ, a discrete structure, composed of at least 2, but typically all 4, primary tissue types meticulously arranged to work in concert, performing specific complex functions that no single tissue could accomplish on its own. It is where the abstract beauty of cellular collaboration blossoms into tangible, purposeful form. Consider the wonder of it. These diverse tissues, each with its specialized cells and unique extracellular matrix, do not merely lie side by side. They interlace, they support, they communicate, forming a cohesive whole designed for a singular, overarching purpose. It is a testament to nature's elegant engineering, a precise dance of form dictating function, where every cellular whisper and every tissue's strength contributes to the organ's grand narrative. Let us begin our exploration with an organ intimately familiar to us all, one that cradles your entire being, a living shield against the world, your skin. When we think of skin, we often perceive it as a simple covering, a protective barrier. Yet, peel back the layers of this initial perception, and you will discover a marvel of integrated tissues, a veritable microcosm of the body's organizational genius. At its outermost frontier lies the epidermis, a testament to epithelial tissue's protective prowess. Here, layers of tightly packed epithelial cells, primarily keratinocytes, form a formidable regenerative wall. These cells are constantly dividing, migrating upward, flattening and filling with keratin, a tough fibrous protein, before ultimately sloughing off. This stratified squamous epithelium forms a waterproof microbial-resistant barrier, a gentle yet unyielding boundary between your delicate internal environment and the external world. Within this epithelial layer, other specialized cells reside, melanocytes, whispering secrets of pigment to protect against the sun's harsh embrace, and tactile cells, sensing the lightest touch. Beneath this protective epithelial cloak lies the hypodermis, a vibrant realm predominantly composed of connective tissue. Here, we find a rich tapestry of cells, fibroblasts, macrophages, mast cells, scattered within an extensive extracellular matrix. Imagine a dense yet pliable network of collagen fibers, providing strength and resilience, interwoven with elastic fibers, granting the skin its remarkable stretch and recoil. It is within this connective tissue that the skin's true vitality resides. Here, blood vessels, a network of tiny rivers, bring nourishment and carry away waste, playing a crucial role in temperature regulation. Here too we find the intricate arborization of nervous tissue, an array of sensory receptors, each tuned to a different frequency of sensation, pressure, touch, temperature, pain, transforming the skin into a vast, intelligent sensory organ, constantly relaying information about your surroundings to your brain. Even tiny wisps of smooth muscle, the erector pili muscles, attached to hair follicles, causing goosebumps in response to cold or emotion, a subtle yet clear presence of muscle tissue. And deeper still, often considered part of the skin's broader structure, lies the hypodermis, or subcutaneous layer, largely composed of adipose tissue, a specialized form of connective tissue. Here, fat cells, like tiny energy-rich pearls, provide insulation against the cold, cushion against impact, and serve as a vital long-term energy reserve. So you see, your skin is not merely epithelial, it is a magnificent composite system where epithelial tissue protects, connective tissue supports and nourishes, nervous tissue senses, and even muscle tissue subtly contributes. Together, these tissues orchestrate a complex array of functions: protection from pathogens and UV radiation, regulation of body temperature, excretion of waste, synthesis of vitamin D, and a profound connection to the world through touch. It is a living, breathing testament to the power of tissue collaboration. Let us journey inward now to another organ, one that churns and transforms, breaking down the sustenance that fuels our very existence, the stomach. Imagine its muscular walls, a powerful rhythmic grinder, yet lined with a delicate secretory surface. Here too we find a harmonious blend of tissues, each playing its essential part in the digestive symphony. The innermost lining of the stomach is a specialized or epithelial tissue, typically simple columnar epithelium. These cells are not merely a passive barrier, they are active participants, secreting hydrochloric acid to denature proteins and activate enzymes, and producing mucus to protect the stomach wall from its own corrosive contents. It is a masterclass in controlled aggression and self-preservation, all orchestrated by these dedicated epithelial cells. Beneath this secretory lining lies the lamina propria, a thin layer of loose areolar connective tissue, rich in blood vessels and lymphatic capillaries, providing essential support and nourishment to the epithelial cells. Deeper still, the submucosa, another layer of connective tissue, houses larger blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and a dense network of nerves, part of the enteric nervous system which autonomously regulate the stomach's activity. The true powerhouse of the stomach, however, lies in its thick, multi-layered muscle tissue. These are layers of smooth muscle, arranged in different orientations, longitudinal, circular, and oblique, which contract rhythmically and powerfully to churn and mix food with digestive juices. This involuntary muscle tissue is the engine of mechanical digestion, transforming a meal into a pulpy chyme, preparing it for further processing, and of course woven throughout these layers, particularly in the submucosa and between the muscle layers, is the nervous tissue. The enteric nervous system, often called the second brain, controls the muscle contractions, regulates glandular secretions, and monitors the internal environment of the stomach, ensuring that digestion proceeds with remarkable precision, mostly without conscious thought. The stomach, then, is a testament to the elegant integration of tissues for a specialized purpose. Its epithelial lining secretes and protects, its connective tissue supports and nourishes, its muscle tissue churns and propels, and its nervous tissue orchestrates the entire complex process. Each tissue, distinct in its form and function, contributes unequivocally to the stomach's singular mission to initiate the breakdown of food. And this pattern, this profound interweaving of tissues, repeats itself throughout your magnificent body. Consider the heart, a tireless pump primarily composed of specialized cardiac muscle tissue, yet lined with smooth epithelial tissue, endocardium, and enveloped by protective connective tissue, pericardium, all finely tuned by nervous tissue. Think of your cell lungs, a delicate arborization of epithelial tissue for gas exchange, supported by connective tissue, ringed by smooth muscle in the airways, and innervated by a complex nervous network. Imagine the kidneys, where filtration units of epithelial cells are meticulously organized within a supportive connective tissue framework, surrounded by smooth muscle in their blood vessels and regulated by nerves. And our brain itself, the seat of consciousness, is a dense, intricate organ of nervous tissue, cradled and nourished by the connective tissues and protected by epithelial linings within its ventricles. In each instance, the organ emerges as more than the sum of its parts. It is a functional unit, a miniature universe of coordinated activity, where the specific properties of each tissue are leveraged to achieve a higher, more complex biological purpose. The arrangement is never random, it is always precise, always purposeful, always elegant. It is this precise orchestration, this delicate balance of specialization and collaboration, that allows organs to perform their vital roles, contributing their unique melodies to the grand composition of life. As we gently close this chapter, we stand at the threshold of yet another profound revelation. For just as tissues coalesce to form organs, these individual organs do not exist in isolation. No, they too gather, they communicate, they cooperate, forming even larger, more complex entities, each dedicated to a broad physiological function. We speak, of course, of the organ systems, the next magnificent layer of your living architecture, where the symphony of individual organs swells into a grand, integrated opus. And it is there, into that intricate network of the interconnected purpose, that our quiet journey will lead us next. We have journeyed together, you and I, through the intricate landscapes of individual cells, those bustling cities within, and then watched in quiet awe as they coalesced into the 4 foundational tissues. From there, we saw these tissues weave themselves into the masterful designs of organs, each a unique testament to biological artistry, a specialized tool in the grand workshop of life. We marveled at the skin, a living mantle, and the stomach, a churning crucible, each a self-contained universe of purpose. But even the most magnificent organ, in its solitary splendor, cannot sustain the intricate dance of life alone. Its purpose, however profound, is but a single note in a vast, echoing symphony. For life, in its most complex and breathtaking expression, demands collaboration. It calls for a deeper orchestration, a harmonious convergence of these specialized structures, each contributing its unique melody to the overall composition. And so we arrive at the next wondrous tier of this living architecture, the organ system. Picture, if you will, not just a single instrument playing its part, but an entire section of an orchestra, strings or brass or percussion, each instrument perfectly tuned, each musician expertly playing their score, all united under a single overarching conductor. An organ system is precisely that, a collection of organs, diverse in their form and function, yet bound together by a shared singular purpose, a vital overarching task that none could accomplish on its own. Consider for a moment the very framework upon which your form is built, the silent sentinel that upholds your every movement and protects your most precious internal treasures. We speak now of the skeletal system, a testament to strength, grace, and sense support. Here, individual bones, each an organ in its own right, alive with blood vessels, nerves, and marrow, do not merely stand in isolation. No, they articulate, they connect, they interlock with a precision born of eons of evolution. Picture the femur, a mighty pillar, connecting to the tibia and fibula at the knee, a joint cushioned by cartilage, held firm by the fibrous embrace of ligaments. Each bone is a masterpiece of calcium and collagen, a delicate balance of rigidity and resilience. But it is only when these bones are joined, when cartilage provides smooth gliding surfaces, and ligaments whisper their gentle yet firm connections, that the system truly emerges. It is then that the skeletal system becomes more than just a collection of hard parts. It is the body's internal scaffolding, its mobile fortress, its mineral reservoir, and even, within the quiet depths of its marrow, the birthplace of your very blood cells. It allows you to stand against gravity's relentless pull, to move through the world with purpose, and to shield the soft, vulnerable organs within its bony cage. It is a system of quiet power, a silent partner in every breath and every step you take. Now, let us turn our gaze to a system of relentless motion, a tireless rhythm that pulses at the very core of your being, a river of life flowing through every cell, every tissue, every organ. We are speaking, of course, of the cardiovascular system. At its heart, literally and figuratively, is the heart itself, a muscular marvel, an organ of incredible strength and endurance, tirelessly contracting and relaxing day in and day out for a lifetime. But the heart on its own is merely a pump. Its true genius, its systemic purpose, is realized only through its profound connection to an intricate network of blood vessels, the arteries, which carry life-giving oxygen and nutrients away from the heart, the veins, which gently shepherd deoxygenated blood and waste products back towards it, and the delicate capillaries, the microscopic lacework where the true magic of exchange occurs, where oxygen whispers into the tissues and carbon dioxide sighs away. Imagine this system as an elaborate, self-contained plumbing network, but one that actively nourishes and cleanses every corner of your internal world. The heart propels the crimson current, a living river of blood, through miles of vessels. This blood, itself a complex tissue, carries oxygen gleaned from the lungs, nutrients absorbed from the digestive tract, hormones from the endocrine glands, and the quiet defenders of your immune system to every cell. It collects the metabolic byproducts, transporting them to the kidneys for filtration and the lungs for exhalation. The cardiovascular system is a ceaseless ballet of transport and exchange, a vital bridge connecting every organ to every other, ensuring that no cell is ever truly isolated, that the needs of the whole are met with unwavering dedication. It is the very pulse of your existence, a constant reminder of the dynamic equilibrium that defines life. But how do these magnificent systems, each a marvel in its own right, know what to do? How do they coordinate their efforts, respond to the body's ever-changing needs, and maintain that delicate balance we call life? This brings us to the grand orchestrators, the systems that communicate and control, that perceive and process, that ensure the symphony plays on, perfectly in tune. Let us first consider the nervous system, the body's instantaneous communication network, a lightning-fast web of electrical signals and chemical messengers. Here, the brain, that universe of thought and consciousness, the spinal cord, its central highway, and the myriad nerves that branch out to every extremity, every organ, every cell form a cohesive unit. The brain, an organ of unparalleled complexity, interprets sensory input from the world outside and the world within, formulates responses, and directs the actions of muscles and glands. The spinal cord acts as a vital conduit, relaying messages with breathtaking speed. And the nerves, like delicate, invisible threads, carry these commands and sensations, allowing you to feel the warmth of the sun, to move your hand in response to a thought, to digest your food without conscious effort, and to regulate the beat of your heart. The nervous system is the ultimate integrator. It monitors the internal environment with ceaseless vigilance, detecting the slightest deviation from the optimal state. It then dispatches precise instructions, often in milliseconds, to restore balance. When you decide to run, it is your nervous system that coordinates the contraction of skeletal muscles, increases your heart rate through the cardiovascular system, deepens your breathing via the respiratory system, and even diverts blood flow to the working muscles. It is the master conductor, reading the score of your internal world and ensuring that every section of the orchestra plays its part with perfect timing and intensity. Complementing this rapid-fire communication is the more subtle, yet equally profound influence of the endocrine system. While the nervous system operates with the speed of an electrical impulse, the endocrine system works through the gentle, persistent whisper of hormones. It is a system of glands, pituitary, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas, and many more, each an organ specialized in producing and secreting specific chemical messengers directly into the bloodstream. These hormones, like molecular keys, travel throughout the body, seeking out specific target cells with complementary locks, eliciting changes in metabolism, growth, mood, reproduction, and countless other vital processes. Imagine the endocrine system as the body's long-term planning committee, influencing development, regulating sleep cycles, managing stress responses, and orchestrating the profound transformations of puberty. It works in concert with the nervous system, often responding to its signals, but also providing a slower, more sustained form of regulation. For instance, in a stress response, the nervous system might trigger an immediate fight or flight surge, while the adrenal glands, part of the endocrine system, release hormones like cortisol that help sustain that response over a longer period, influencing metabolism and inflammation. Together, these two great communication systems ensure that the body is not only responsive to immediate threats, but also capable of adapting and evolving over time. As we contemplate these magnificent organ systems, the silent strength of the skeletal, the tireless current of the cardiovascular, the lightning intellect of the nervous, the gentle persuasion of the endocrine, we begin to perceive a truth far grander than the sum of its parts. Each system is a masterpiece, yes, but their true wonder lies in their profound, inescapable interconnectedness. They do not operate in isolated silos. Rather, they form an intricate tapestry, a living web where every thread touches and influences every other. The respiratory system, with its lungs, provides the oxygen that the cardiovascular system's blood transports. The digestive system breaks down food into nutrients that fuel every cell, while the urinary system, with its kidneys, meticulously filters waste from the blood. The muscular system moves the skeletal framework, while both are constantly monitored and directed by the nervous and endocrine systems. There is no single master. There is only a continuous dynamic conversation, a ceaseless exchange of information and resources. This glorious collaboration, this ceaseless conversation between systems, culminates in the most fundamental concept of all, homeostasis. It is the body's miraculous ability to maintain a stable internal environment despite the constant flux and challenge of the external world. Your body temperature remains a precise 98.6 degrees, your blood pH a narrow 7.35/745, your blood glucose levels carefully regulated, your fluid balance meticulously preserved. This stability is not static like a still pond, it is dynamic like a perfectly balanced mobile, constantly adjusting, always returning to center. It is the nervous system detecting a drop in temperature and signaling the muscular system to shiver, generating heat. It is the endocrine system releasing insulin to lower blood sugar after a meal. It is the kidneys adjusting water excretion based on hydration levels. Homeostasis is the quiet miracle happening within you every second of every day, a testament to the elegant complexity of your organ systems working in perfect unspoken harmony. It is the reason you are alive, the reason your cells can thrive, the reason you can think, feel, and experience the world. It is the grandest symphony of all, played by countless organs, conducted by the wisdom of your inherent biology, ensuring that the conditions for life are always, against all odds, just right. And so we stand at the threshold of the complete organism. We have traced the journey from the cosmic dust of atoms to the intricate dance of molecules, from the self-contained universe of the cell to the collaborative genius of tissues and organs, and now to the unified purpose of organ systems. We have seen how these individual components, each a marvel, become part of something infinitely greater through their elegant integration. The next step, then, is to understand what emerges from this profound interconnectedness, the living, breathing, thinking being that is you. What does it mean for all these systems to converge into a single conscious entity, capable of experiencing the world, making choices, and even contemplating its own miraculous existence? This, perhaps, is the deepest question of all, and what, we ponder, emerges when all these systems converge, when their continuous conversation and collaboration lead not just to the maintenance of a stable internal environment, to homeostasis, that delicate, miraculous balance, but to something more, to a single conscious organism capable of experiencing, of feeling, of contemplating its own existence? This, perhaps, is the deepest question of all. But before we can truly delve into the profound mystery of consciousness, we must first understand the silent, tireless work that makes its very possibility real. For consciousness, like a fragile flower, can only blossom in a garden meticulously tended, a sanctuary where conditions are held within the narrowest of tolerances. This sanctuary, this constant tending, is the realm of our homeostasis. Imagine, if you will, a vast complex orchestra. Each instrument and each organ system we have gently explored plays its part. The cardiovascular system hums with the rhythm of the heart. The respiratory system breathes its steady tempo. The nervous system sends its lightning-fast signals. But what conducts this grand symphony? What ensures that every note is in harmony, that the entire performance doesn't descend into chaotic dissonance? That conductor, dear student, is homeostasis. At its heart, homeostasis is the body's magnificent ability to maintain a relatively stable internal environment, despite the constant, often turbulent changes happening, both within and around us. It is not a rigid, unmoving stasis, but a dynamic equilibrium, a continuous, precise dance of adjustments, like a tightrope walker constantly shifting their weight to remain upright. The very word homeostasis whispers its meaning, same standing. Yet it is a sameness achieved through tireless, active adaptation. Consider the simple act of stepping from a cool room into the warm sunlight. Instantly your internal world is challenged. Your body temperature begins to rise. Without intervention, this rise could be dangerous, even fatal. But your body, this marvel of living architecture, does not passively succumb. Instead, a finely tuned system springs into action. We can distill this intricate dance into 3 fundamental components, working in concert, like a tiny vigilant government within your very cells. First, there is the receptor or sensor. This is the watchful sentinel, the specialized structure that detects changes in a particular variable, be it temperature, blood glucose levels, blood pressure, or oxygen concentration. In our sunlight example, specialized nerve endings in your skin and internal organs act as thermoreceptors, sensing the shift in temperature. Next, the information gathered by the receptor is whisked away to the control center. This is often a region of the brain such as the hypothalamus or a specific endocrine gland. The control center acts as the integrator, the decision maker. It receives the input from the receptor, compares it to a predetermined set point, the ideal value for that variable, and then orchestrates the appropriate response. It's like the conductor reading the score and deciding which sections of the orchestra need to play louder or softer. In our scenario, your hypothalamus receives the too warm signal and understands that the body needs to cool down. Finally, the control center sends its commands to the effector. The effector is the organ or gland that carries out the response, bringing the variable back towards its set point. It's the musicians who actually play the notes. To cool your body, your hypothalamus might send signals to your sweat glands, causing them to release cooling perspiration, and to the smooth muscles in the walls of your blood vessels, causing them to dilate, allowing more blood to flow closer to the skin surface, dissipating heat. This entire sequence, receptor, control center, effector, forms what we call a feedback loop. And here we encounter 2 distinct yet equally vital types of loops, negative and positive. The vast majority of homeostatic mechanisms in your body operate via negative feedback. This is the body's primary way of maintaining stability. Picture a thermostat in your home. When the temperature rises above your set point, the thermostat, receptor, control center, turns on the air conditioning effector to cool the room back down. When it falls below, it turns on the heater. Negative feedback works by reversing the initial stimulus. If a variable deviates from its set point, the feedback loop initiates responses that bring it back in the opposite direction. Let us consider another exquisite example: the regulation of blood glucose. After a meal, as carbohydrates are digested, glucose enters your bloodstream, causing blood glucose levels to rise. This rise is detected by specialized cells in your pancreas, the receptors. Your pancreas then acts as the control center, releasing insulin, the effector hormone, into your blood. Insulin signals your body's cells to take up glucose from the blood and your liver to store excess glucose as glycogen. As glucose leaves the blood and enters cells, blood glucose levels fall, thus negating the initial stimulus. When blood glucose falls too low, a different set of pancreatic cells release glucagon, which signals the liver to release stored glucose, raising levels back up. It is a breathtakingly precise, continuous calibration, ensuring your cells always have the energy they need without being overwhelmed. Negative feedback loops are the quiet heroes of your existence, constantly working behind the scenes, ensuring the pH of your blood remains stable, your blood pressure is within limits, and your oxygen levels are just right. They are the vigilant guardians, always striving to restore balance to return to the harmonious set point. However, there is another, far less common but equally crucial type of feedback: positive feedback. Unlike negative feedback, which seeks to reverse a change, positive feedback amplifies the initial stimulus. It pushes the variable further and further in the same direction, creating a cascade, an escalating event. It is like a snowball rolling downhill, gathering more snow and momentum as it goes. Why would the body employ such a mechanism, one that seems to drive it away from equilibrium? Because in specific critical circumstances, amplifying a process is precisely what is needed. Consider the miraculous process of childbirth. As the baby's head pushes against the cervix, stretch receptors in the cervix are activated, the receptors. These signals are sent to the brain, the control center, which then stimulates the pituitary gland to release oxytocin, the effector hormone. Oxytocin travels to the uterus, causing stronger contractions. These stronger contractions, in turn, push the baby's head even harder against the cervix, stimulating more stretch receptors, leading to the release of more oxytocin and even stronger contractions. This escalating loop continues until the baby is born and the stimulus, the stretching of the cervix, is removed. Another vital instance of positive feedback is blood clotting. When a blood vessel is injured, platelets begin to stick to the damaged site. These activated platelets then release chemicals that attract more platelets, causing them to aggregate and form a plug. This rapid amplification quickly seals the wound, preventing excessive blood loss. Once the vessel is repaired, the process ceases. You see, positive feedback loops are usually short-lived, self-limiting events that are crucial for specific physiological processes that require a rapid, decisive conclusion. They are the body's way of executing a swift, powerful action when the situation demands it, rather than a slow, steady correction. It is important to remember that the set point for any given variable is not a rigid, unyielding number. It is more accurately described as a normal range, a window of optimal function. Your body temperature, for instance, might fluctuate slightly throughout the day or in response to activity, but it always remains within a healthy band. This allows for adaptability, a subtle flexibility within the grand design. We speak of dynamic equilibrium precisely because this balance is always being actively maintained, always subtly adjusting, never truly still. What happens then when these intricate, tireless homeostatic mechanisms falter? When the receptors fail to detect, the control center misinterprets, or the effectors cannot respond. This state is known as homeostatic imbalance, and it is the very root of disease and illness. When the body loses its ability to maintain its stable internal environment, its systems begin to break down, leading to dysfunction and suffering. It is a stark reminder of the constant silent vigilance required for life to persist. As we gently close this chapter, let us pause and reflect on the sheer elegance and precision of these homeostatic processes. Every breath you take, every beat of your heart, every thought that flickers through your mind is underpinned by this ceaseless, miraculous effort to maintain balance. From the cosmic dust that form the atoms of your being, to the intricate molecular dances within your cells, and now to the grand orchestration of your entire physiological existence, we witness a profound truth. Life is a constant act of self-preservation, a continuous quiet affirmation against the forces of entropy. It is the story of how matter arranges itself against all odds to become aware of itself, and then, through the tireless work of homeostasis, strives to maintain that awareness. What a wonder, what a privilege to be a part of this living poetry. We have journeyed far, haven't we? From the quiet hum of atoms, through the intricate dance of molecules and macromolecules, to the bustling cities of cells, the woven tapestries of tissues, and the grand architectures of organs and systems. We've watched the body, this living cosmos, maintain its delicate balance through the wisdom of homeostasis, a constant gentle negotiation with the world both within and without. We understand now, perhaps a little more deeply, how it is, how it breathes, how it builds, how it repairs, how it maintains its internal spring in the face of external winter. But how does it know? How does a rise in temperature in your finger translate into a command to shiver or to sweat? How does the sight of a loved one quicken your pulse, or a moment of peace slow your breath? How does the body orchestrate this magnificent symphony of self-regulation and response, ensuring that every cell, every tissue, every organ plays its part in perfect harmony? The answer lies in communication, in the body's profound and ceaseless conversation with itself. It speaks in two primary yet intimately intertwined languages: the lightning-fast whisper of electricity and the slower, more pervasive embrace of chemistry. These are the languages of the nervous system and the endocrine system, the twin pillars of command and control that elevate a collection of cells into a unified, sensing, thinking and feeling being. Let us first turn our attention to the nervous system, the body's instantaneous messenger, its network of living wires that transmit information with breathtaking speed. Picture, if you will, a vast shimmering web of light stretching through every corner of your being, illuminating pathways, carrying urgent dispatches. At the heart of this web are the neurons, the elegant elongated cells that are the very poets of electrical impulse. Each neuron, with its branching dendrites reaching out like delicate antennae, its long axon extending like a single purposeful thought, and its axon terminals speaking across tiny gaps, is a miniature world dedicated to the transmission of information. We speak of action potentials, these sudden, fleeting flickers of electrical charge that race along the neuron's membrane. Imagine a wave, not of water, but of pure energy, sweeping across the surface, a rapid depolarization and repolarization, a momentary shift in the electrical balance. This is the body's Morse code, its rapid-fire signal, traveling at speeds that defy our conscious comprehension, allowing a thought to form, a muscle to contract, a sensation to register almost instantaneously. It is the language of immediate reaction, of the world as it unfolds in the present moment. But how does this electrical whisper cross the divide between one neuron and the next, or between a neuron and a muscle cell or a gland? Here the language shifts ever so slightly into the delicate embrace of chemistry. We arrive at the synapse, a microscopic yet profoundly significant gap where the electrical signal is translated. As the action potential reaches the end of the axon, it triggers the release of tiny chemical messengers known as neurotransmitters. These are the molecular keys, tailored precisely to fit the locks on the receiving cell's membrane. They diffuse across the synaptic cleft, bind to their specific receptors, and either excite or inhibit the next cell, continuing the cascade of information or gently bringing it to a halt. Think of it as a whispered secret passed from one hand to another, not through touch but through a fleeting cloud of specific molecules: acetylcholine, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, each a name for a different kind of whisper, carrying different instructions, evoking different responses. These neurotransmitters orchestrate everything from your conscious thoughts and memories to the involuntary rhythm of your heart and the subtle nuances of your mood. They are the chemical poetry that underlies your every perception, every movement, every flicker of emotion. The nervous system, then, is the grand conductor, wielding the baton of electricity and the subtle art of chemical release to guide the orchestra of your immediate experience. Yet, alongside this rapid-fire communication, there flows another, more ancient river of information, the endocrine system. If the nervous system is the urgent text message, the endocrine system is the carefully crafted letter sent through the bloodstream, reaching its destination more slowly, but often with a more profound and lasting effect. Here, the messengers are hormones, chemical compounds synthesized and secreted by specialized glands scattered throughout the body. Imagine these glands, the pituitary nestled deep in your brain, the thyroid at your throat, the adrenal glands perched atop your kidneys, the pancreas, the ovaries, the testes, as silent alchemists constantly monitoring the body's internal state. When a specific condition arises, they release their unique chemical messengers directly into the bloodstream. This blood, the body's ceaseless river of life, then carries these hormones to every cell. But unlike the nervous system's precise synaptic delivery, hormones are broadcasts. How then do they find their specific targets amidst the vastness of the circulatory system? The answer lies in the exquisite specificity of receptors. Only cells possessing the correct receptor protein, the perfect molecular lock for that particular hormonal key, will respond to its message. All other cells simply let the hormone pass by, unmoved, untouched. This elegant mechanism ensures that a hormone released by your adrenal gland, for instance, might only affect certain cells in your liver, or your muscles, or your brain, even though it travels throughout your entire body. These hormonal messages guide the long-term overarching processes of your being. They regulate your metabolism, determining how your body utilizes energy. They oversee growth and development, from childhood to maturity. They influence your mood, your sleep-wake cycles, your reproductive functions, and your body's response to stress. They are the silent architects of your internal environment, maintaining a steady course through the tides of life. Consider insulin, a hormone that regulates blood glucose, or thyroid hormones which control metabolic rate, or cortisol, the stress hormone. Each plays a vital, pervasive role in maintaining the deep underlying rhythms of homeostasis. So we see two distinct yet complementary modes of communication. The nervous system, with its electrical impulses and neurotransmitter whispers, provides rapid, localized, and often short-lived responses, allowing you to react instantly to the world. The endocrine system, with its widespread hormonal messages, provides slower, broader, and more sustained regulation, guiding the long-term orchestration of your body's internal milieu. But to truly understand the exquisite unity of the organism, we must recognize that these two systems do not operate in isolation. They are profoundly, intimately interwoven, constantly influencing and informing one another. The hypothalamus, a small but mighty region deep within your brain, serves as a crucial bridge, a grand central station where nervous and endocrine signals converge and diverge. It interprets nervous system signals and, in response, can release hormones that control other endocrine glands. It can also produce hormones that directly affect the nervous system. Consider the stress response, a perfect example of this seamless integration. A sudden perceived threat, a loud noise, a looming deadline, is first registered by your nervous system. This immediate neural signal rapidly travels to the adrenal glands, prompting them to release adrenaline, epinephrine, and noradrenaline, norepinephrine, neurotransmitters, and hormones which flood your body. Your heart races, your breathing quickens, your senses sharpen, all within seconds. This is the nervous system's lightning-fast alarm. Simultaneously, the hypothalamus signals the pituitary gland to release other hormones, which then stimulate the adrenal glands to produce cortisol. This slower, sustained release of cortisol helps your body cope with prolonged stress, mobilizing energy reserves and dampening non-essential functions. Here, the immediate electrical urgency of the nervous system blends into the sustained chemical guidance of the endocrine system, creating a holistic and adaptive response. They are, in essence, two voices in a profound duet, sometimes singing in unison, sometimes in counterpoint, but always contributing to the same magnificent melody, the life of you. It is this constant, intricate dialogue, this ceaseless exchange of information, that allows for the remarkable adaptability and resilience of the human body. It is how the body maintains its temperature, regulates its blood pressure, processes nutrients, repairs itself, and responds to every challenge and every joy. And as we contemplate this intricate network of communication, we return, perhaps, to the deeper mystery that underpins our entire journey. How does this symphony of electrical flickers and chemical whispers, this constant flow of information, give rise to the subjective experience of being alive? How does the precise dance of neurotransmitters across synapses become a thought, a memory, a feeling of wonder? How do hormones influencing metabolism also shape our mood, our sense of purpose? The nervous and endocrine systems are the physical substratum, the elegant machinery upon which our consciousness, our unique self, is built. They are the channels through which the external world is brought within, processed and responded to. They are the instruments that allow us to perceive beauty, feel pain, experience love, and ponder the very nature of our existence. They don't explain consciousness, not entirely, but they are undeniably its foundation, the silent, tireless communicators that make subjective experience possible. We stand then at the edge of this profound understanding, gazing into the intricate web of communication that defines us. It is a testament to the elegant ingenuity of nature, a quiet miracle unfolding within each of us, every single moment. Let us hold this wonder, this reverence for the body's internal conversation, as we continue our slow and thoughtful journey into the heart of what it means to be. Good evening, dear listener. We have journeyed through the intricate landscapes of our physical form, from the quiet whisper of atoms coalescing into molecules, to the grand symphony of organ systems communicating across vast cellular distances. We've marveled at the cell, that self-contained universe, and traced the delicate dance of tissues weaving into organs, all striving for the serene equilibrium we call homeostasis. We've even begun to decipher the two primary languages of our internal world, the rapid electrical murmurs of the nervous system and the slower, pervasive chemical poetry of the endocrine system. But even the most exquisitely designed machinery, the most perfectly synchronized orchestra, requires a constant, unwavering source of power. All this magnificent organization, this continuous self-repair and communication, this very act of thinking and feeling demands energy. And so tonight, we turn our gaze inward once more to the very engine of life itself, the ceaseless, silent work of metabolism. Picture, if you will, a vast, intricate factory operating deep within each of your cells. It is a factory of transformation, where raw materials are broken down, new structures are built, and the very currency of life is minted. This entire collection of chemical reactions, this ceaseless weaving and unravelling, is what we call metabolism. It is the sum of all chemical processes that occur within us, a dynamic equilibrium between building up and breaking down. We speak of two fundamental facets of this metabolic dance. First, there is anabolism. The constructive energy-requiring processes, where smaller, simpler molecules are assembled into larger, more complex ones. Think of it as the meticulous construction crew taking amino acids and patiently linking them into proteins, or stitching together glucose units to form the energy storage molecule, glycogen. Anabolism is the quiet artistry of creation, the gentle ascent towards complexity, and it demands an investment of energy. Then there is catabolism, the destructive, energy-releasing processes where larger, complex molecules are broken down into smaller, simpler ones. This is the deconstruction crew, carefully dismantling glucose to harvest its stored energy, or breaking down fats into their constituent parts. Catabolism is the controlled release, the gentle descent, providing the very fuel that powers anabolism and indeed all the functions of life. These two forces, anabolism and catabolism, are not opposing battles, but rather complementary partners in a perpetual elegant pas de deux, ensuring the continuous flow of matter and energy. But what precisely is this currency of life that we speak of? How is energy captured, stored, and then precisely delivered to where it is needed without waste or chaos? The answer lies in a remarkable molecule, a veritable molecular coin of the realm, adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, Sal. Imagine ATP as a tiny rechargeable battery, an exquisitely designed packet of energy. At its core, it consists of an adenine base, a ribose sugar, and crucially 3 phosphate groups linked together. It is in the bonds connecting these phosphate groups, particularly the terminal one, that a significant amount of chemical energy is stored. When the cell needs energy to pump ions across a membrane, to contract a muscle fiber, to synthesize a protein, or even to simply think a thought, an enzyme gently cleaves off that terminal phosphate group. This transforms ATP into adenosine diphosphate, ADP, and a free phosphate, releasing a burst of usable energy, much like unfurling a tightly wound spring. It's a precise, controlled explosion, perfectly calibrated for the cell's needs. And just as a battery can be recharged, so too can ADP be rephosphorylated back into ATP by adding another phosphate group. This recharging process requires energy, and it is here that catabolism truly shines, for it is the breaking down of our food molecules that provides the energy to replenish our ATP stores. The primary pathway for generating this vital ATP, especially from the carbohydrates we consume, is a majestic sequence of reactions known as cellular respiration. It is a 3-act play, each act unfolding in a specific cellular theatre, orchestrated with breathtaking precision. The first act, a preliminary dance, is called glycolysis, and it unfolds in the bustling cytoplasm of the cell. Here, a single molecule of glucose, a 6-carbon sugar, is gently coaxed and cleaved into 2 molecules of pyruvate, each containing 3 carbons. This initial splitting doesn't require oxygen, making it an anaerobic process. Its relatively modest energy yield, producing a small net gain of ATP and some electron-carrying molecules called NADH. Think of it as the first gentle breaking, preparing the sugar for a much deeper extraction of energy. With pyruvate now formed, the journey continues, leading us to the true powerhouse of the cell, the inner sanctum we explored briefly in Chapter 3, the moral mitochondrion. If oxygen is present, and for most of our cells it thankfully is, the pyruvate molecules are transported across the mitochondrial membranes, entering the submitochondrial matrix. This is the gateway to the second act. Once inside, pyruvate undergoes a transformation, losing a carbon atom released as carbon dioxide, which we exhale, and becoming an acetyl group, which then attaches to a coenzyme to form acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA then feeds directly into the heart of the second act, the Krebs cycle, also known as the citric acid cycle. The Krebs cycle is an elegant cyclical series of reactions, a continuous molecular loop occurring within the mitochondrial matrix. Acetyl-CoA enters the cycle, and through a series of precise steps, its carbon atoms are completely oxidized, released as more carbon dioxide. This intricate dance doesn't produce a vast amount of ATP directly, but its true genius lies in generating a substantial number of those crucial electron-carrying molecules, more NADH and another similar carrier, FADH2. These carriers are like tiny charged shuttles, brimming with high-energy electrons ready for the grand finale. And now, we arrive at the third and most prolific act of cellular respiration, the electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. This breathtaking process unfolds along the inner membrane of the mitochondrion, a membrane that is beautifully folded into cristae to maximize its surface area, much like a complex undulating landscape. Here, the NADH and FADH2 molecules arrive, delivering their precious cargo of high-energy electrons. Imagine these electrons beginning a silent, shimmering journey, passed from one protein complex to another, down a cascade of molecular steps. With each transfer, a tiny bit of energy is released. This released energy is not wasted. It is harnessed to pump hydrogen ions, protons, from the mitochondrial matrix into the intermembrane space, the narrow gap between the inner and outer mitochondrial membranes. As protons accumulate in this intermembrane space, a powerful gradient is built, a higher concentration of protons on one side than the other, creating both an electrical and a chemical potential energy difference. It's like water building up behind a dam. These protons, driven by this gradient, then rush back into the mitochondrial matrix through a remarkable molecular turbine embedded in the inner membrane. ATP synthase. As protons flow through ATP synthase much like water turning a mill wheel, the enzyme literally spins, harnessing that kinetic energy to attach a phosphate group to ADP, thereby synthesizing vast quantities of ATP. This is the moment of abundant energy harvest, the crescendo of the entire process. And what happens to those electrons after their long journey down the transport chain? They must have a final destination, a precise acceptor to keep the flow moving. In aerobic respiration, this crucial role is played by oxygen. Oxygen is the final electron acceptor, quietly combining with the spent electrons and hydrogen ions to form water. This is why we breathe, dear listener, not just to bring oxygen to our lungs, but to provide the essential ingredient that allows the electron transport chain to function, to keep the metabolic mill turning, to generate the very ATP that sustains our lives. It is the breath of life made manifest at a molecular scale. So when we consider the mitochondria, we are not merely looking at an organelle, we are gazing upon the ancient pulsating heart of our cellular energy. These tiny bean-shaped structures, with their distinctive double membranes and their own circular DNA, a whispered echo of their bacterial origins, a testament to an ancient symbiotic partnership, are truly miraculous. They are constantly dividing, fusing and moving within the cell, adapting their numbers and activity to meet the cell's dynamic energy demands. Every muscle contraction, every nerve impulse, every thought you think is powered by the tireless silent hum of ATP synthase within your mitochondria. And while we've focused on glucose, understand that our bodies are incredibly flexible. The metabolic pathways are interconnected, a grand web of transformation. Fats, broken down into fatty acids and glycerol, can be fed into these same pathways, often yielding even more ATP per gram than carbohydrates. Proteins, when necessary, can also be deconstructed into their amino acid building blocks, which can then be converted into intermediates that enter the Krebs cycle, though this is usually a last resort, as proteins are primarily for building and function, not just fuel. The body's wisdom extends to the precise regulation of these metabolic pathways. Hormones like insulin and glucagon act as the masterful conductors of this metabolic orchestra, ensuring that energy is stored when abundant, as glycogen or fat, and released when needed, maintaining the delicate balance of blood glucose and overall energy homeostasis. Every decision to eat, to move, to rest sends signals that ripple through these intricate pathways, adjusting the pace and direction of the energy flow. And so we arrive at a profound realization. This constant microscopic churning of matter and energy, this ceaseless transformation from glucose to ATP, from oxygen to water, is not merely a biochemical process. It is the very foundation upon which the miracle of life is built. It is the relentless struggle against entropy, the universal tendency towards disorder. Each molecule of ATP generated is a tiny victory, a transient moment of order wrested from the chaos, powering the magnificent complexity that allows us to perceive, to feel, to learn, to love. We are, indeed, stardust, but we are stardust that has learned to harness the energy of its own molecular architecture, not just to exist, but to become exquisitely aware of its own existence. The silent, tireless work of metabolism within every cell, every moment, is the whisper of the cosmos made manifest, allowing the universe to contemplate itself through you, through us. Take a moment now to feel that energy, that quiet, persistent hum of life coursing through your very being. It is a wonder beyond measure.